Okay then, here we are as promised on Catalina. And our first player in our dynamic duo tonight. It's the Orange Terran spawning on the left-hand side. Representing Chobo Team 6, Vespasian. And he is going to be fighting against our Teal Zerg in the bottom right. Representing Outset Gaming, we are bringing to you Kommatiazo. And actually going for a pool first, which is a little unconventional. Typically you see hatch before pool in ZVT, but Vespasian is, let's say he plays a little bit of an aggressive style. So I guess Kommatiazo is just, going for that pool for hatch, just for the extra safety it provides. But a wise man once said the cheesiest thing a cheesy player can do is play macro. And so far, that looks relatively like what Vespasian is doing. There's nothing particularly odd coming out of him yet. So if he was going for just like a CC first or something, Kommatiazo would have been a little bit behind by going for that pool. But either way, both of them are doing a fairly safe middle of the road. Not too macro, not too aggressive sort of stuff. And Vespasian has that SCV out and scouting, and it looks like it is now going to start, or it's going to happen upon Kommatiazo's base, first seeing the hatchery, and just sort of peeks its head in to say hello, and then goes up. 6 lings though is quite a lot, and they're going to get a pretty decent pick off on their SCV. So the SCV doesn't actually see any really irrelevant information. It sees there's a pool and it sees there's a hatch, but it doesn't really tell it that much about the timings of either of them, and most importantly, it doesn't tell him anything about the gas. So he doesn't know when speed's going to be, whether or not it's even a gasless opener, anything at all. Of course, he'll get some decent scouting off with this Widowmine drop, which is what Vespasian looks to be leaning towards. But we'll see. We will see. An Overlord Scout as well, just being driven away by that one Marine, well positioned there by Vespasian. And Kommatiazo so far just droning on up. There go his next set of Queens as well. And speed's just started too. So Kommatiazo's speed's going to take a little while to sort of hit the field, but he's not really hurting for it. There's nothing that Vespasian's going to pull out where speed is really critical in holding. I mean, obviously speed's always better to have than not, pretty much. But Proxy Widowmine is just going to, Widowmine drops. You don't really care how fast your lings are. I guess unless, so long as you can get away from them in time. Either way, there we go. A couple of Marines loaded up and a couple of Widowmines. One more Marine will fill up that medevac, and Vespasian will move on out. But Kommatiazo does have a couple of Overlords tactically positioned, so Kommatiazo will see Vespasian's medevac making its way out there. And immediately starts a Spine Crawler, 2 Spine Crawlers. Kind of needs the Spore Crawler though, really, because he's going to need something to detect those Widowmines, otherwise they're just going to shut down mining in the base when they get in. And now Vespasian starts unloading and just bunny hopping forward with his Widowmines. He needs to be a little bit careful so they don't go off on Overlords, because if they do, it's kind of a waste. They don't actually kill the Overlord, and that Widowmine actually gets taken out. Really nice pickoff. So the Widowmines haven't done anything so far, and Vespasian shouldn't really have a problem just cleaning up these Marines, because obviously a lot of space in that medevac was sacrificed to fit in the Widowmines, and they really didn't do anything at all. Damaging an Overlord is really no damage at all, especially if you can't kill it off. Of course, the Widowmine's about to come off cooldown. It could pick off a couple of lings. I don't think he'll manage to get a queen, but Kommatiazo just groups up all his lings, and that's a big hit actually, because now it clears the field a lot more for these 4 Marines to come in. There's only 2 lings left, and they're going to pick off a queen. So that was a really nice Widowmine hit there by Vespasian. A bit unlucky for Kommatiazo that he was all grouping himself up at exactly that time, but looking back at Vespasian's base, we've got a couple of tanks as a follow-up, which I think is great. Great decision. Just allows them to be a bit more defensive up the top. And the Banshee as well. So, I mean, Vespasian looks like he's just going full on 1-1-1. No sign of any kind of expansion, just tanks, marines, and even a couple SCVs being pulled. Useful for repairing the Banshee, for repairing the tanks, for repairing this medevac as well. And Kommatiazo is going to come across this army moving across the map and go into panic mode a bit. He does have 2 spines already, but a couple more spines certainly wouldn't hurt. Roaches as well would be really nice for him to have, just to soak up the tank fire a little bit more. Because the Lings are going to die so fast, that tank fire. And now Vespasian moves into position. There's no cloak on the Banshee, so that's not so much of a threat. But it doesn't want to take too much fire from that Sporkle. The Sporkle is pumping out a lot of damage, and now Vespasian's sieging up with both his tanks at the bottom of the ramp. And it's going to be a little difficult for Kommatiazo to break down here and really make something happen. The Banshee might get taken out by these queens, but not quite. And he's going to move down. One of the tanks is unsieged, and he's going straight for the siege tank. He's going to try and focus that one down, where the other tank has now sieged up and is absolutely decimating these Lings. All of them have gone down. No queens left over either for Kommatiazo, and he's going to have to rely on his remax, and that's going to come in dribs and drabs, some from the main and some from the natural. And I think Vespasian's got a pretty good chance of taking out each part as it comes in. We'll have to see. The first lot comes in. Okay, Kommatiazo is just going to run past and try and group up. I think he's sacking his natural for now, which is painful because that's where his lair is as well. So trying to get in some banelings so he can burst down those marines. And I know he doesn't have baneling speed, and there's like the marines aren't really the scary part about this push. The SCVs will tank quite a lot of the fire as well. And if he just kites with his marines, one good baneling connection, but it doesn't actually even kill off any of the marines, just reduces a lot of them down to red health. And with the medevacs, that's something that can be healed off pretty nicely. The Banshee as well, baiting 2 of the queens a little bit too far out of position. And GG! Okay then everybody, we are back. And there's some funny business going on, so let's blast through these introductions. Our first player, up in the top left-hand corner, is the Orange Terran, the inimitable Chobo Team 6's Vespasian. And slowly coming to the horrific realization that there are not as many buildings in Vespasian's main as there should be, is our teal Zerg player in the bottom right, Outset Gaming Kommatiazo. And with a quick count of the number of barracks in Vespasian's main, Kommatiazo has realized that 0 is fewer than the usual. And they're, of course, over here, right in prime position to produce Reapers and jump up that little cliff that's on the, I guess, right-hand side, top right-hand side of Kommatiazo's main base. So Vespasian is going to be pumping them out. Luckily, of course, Kommatiazo has actually spotted this, though I don't know how well the gas is going to serve him. Obviously, when he gets Ling Speed out, it's going to be pretty good against the Reapers unless they've already reached critical mass. But the first Reaper is going to jump in, and actually Kommatiazo still has no Lings out whatsoever. 4 just being started, but he's probably going to take at least 1 or 2 drones lost from this. And there's the first one, and taking quite a bit of damage. Oh, doesn't make Wolf that much spine crawling. He's probably going to let that finish because he wants to be able to force create safe zones from the Reapers, and the spine crawlers do provide that pretty nicely, right up until the Reapers get like crazy high numbers. The SCV coming in as well is going to start a bunker, and I don't think Kommatiazo has seen this, but he did see the SCV coming in if he was paying attention. And now Kommatiazo is going to try and just move his Zerglings backwards and forwards, just trying to deny those Reapers doing really anything other than just shooting at the Zerglings and distributing damage amongst them. And so far he's done really well. Only 1 drone has been lost in total, but decent surround on the Lings, might be able to pick off 1 of the Reapers, but I think they are going to run around and get out. Oh, fantastic little drone pull there. Is going to ensure that 2 of the Reapers go down, and that is really, really big there. 1 more left on very low health, and Metabolic Boost is rapidly approaching finished. The Queens coming out as well are going to really, really assist in driving this away. Because obviously those ranged units much, much better. They don't have to take fire while the Reapers are approaching, and also when they're going away. So Queens are just a fantastic early game unit in pretty much every matchup defensively, and less so aggressively because they are so goddamn slow off creep. But Kommatiazo kind of needs to connect up his 2 bases so he can get the Queen down there to, and the Spinecrawler down there to actually defend a bit more. Another Spinecrawler I think really wouldn't go amiss here, just to get an angle on the bunker. It's a bit easier as well with Reapers versus Marines because Reapers are just that little bit... Oh, actually, yeah, no. Oh, they buffed the range on Reapers. Reapers used to be 4.5, now they're just 5. Yeah, Reapers were a little bit... Oh, backs off a little bit early, I would have said, but there's the second Spinecrawler coming down. But the Reapers, 4 Reapers are actually doing a decent amount of damage to this hatchery. And it's getting towards being at risk. Oh, nice pickup on the Reaper though. He kind of needs to fix his rally point there. And Kommatiazo, with the Spinecrawler having moved down from the main, Vespasian actually decides he can lift up, or he can run out with his Reapers. Manages to pick up a Queen as well, which is pretty nice, but Kommatiazo just trying not to overcommit too much with his Lings. But it looks like he's driven the Reaper pressure off. And he's done so in a really, really handy fashion, actually. He can start running across the map. There's currently no wall off for Vespasian. He really needs to get one up because those Speedlings are going to race his Reapers back. And Speedlings are a little faster than Reapers, though. Not if they just stop and stand still for a little while. And at the end of it all, Kommatiazo still has 17 workers left. Only 1 worker was killed during that entire time. So, yeah, Kommatiazo is looking pretty good to go on. Obviously, he spent a lot of lava he wanted to spend on drones on Zerglings. Pardon me. And there's 2 drones that sort of died by proxy in the form of having been turned into Spinecrawlers. But now Kommatiazo is actually going to morph up a few Banelings and start trying to bust down this wall. And actually, Vespasian moving out with his Reapers, I don't think he sees these Zerglings. Okay, he is going to move back now, which is a good decision. He had started moving his Reapers across the map. He could really have been caught by surprise for this. I don't think he sees this. And now the Banelings are coming into those supply depots. They pretty much burst them down. A few more hits than required by those Lings, and they do get them. But there are enough Reapers that they'll be able to hold off the Lings without too much trouble. And oh my god, the supply depot also managed to just about not burn down. And yeah, Vespasian just really has too many Reapers for Kommatiazo to really be able to pull off much aggression against him. So I kind of think that Kommatiazo should have just secured the low ground, made sure that Vespasian wasn't really able to take it, secure an expansion, and droned up behind this, because now he's committed quite a lot more lava to Lings that aren't really that useful. But he's getting a Spire down as well, and two base Spire has been really, really popular recently, seen its own little vogue in TVZ. And I really, really like it as a decision in this instance because Vespasian isn't going to be starting to produce Marines until about 10 minutes, which is now. And obviously the proxy Spire is a little delayed as well. But Vespasian's anti-air is going to be so limited when these Mutalisks actually start to arrive. All the Reapers will be next to useless against the Mutalisks. Widowmines can be pretty good against Mutalisks. Obviously, one Widowmine will just one-shot a Mutalisk as well as the splash damage. But I don't know. I don't know how quickly Kommatiazo can get those Mutalisks out and how heavily he's going to commit to investing his gas in Mutalisks rather than in tech plays and the like. I do, however, really like how Vespasian isn't playing too greedy, following up his cheese. He's getting a lot of Marines out for safety. He's not just using his barracks to build add-ons and add-ons and add-ons and trying to purge his way up the tech tree and just double expand at the same time. So he is in the end going to have a fair few Marines to actually help defend against the Mutalisks, but they won't have stim and they won't have combat shields, and they'll just generally be a little bit less good at fighting against Mutalisks than I think Vespasian ideally wants. But we'll have to find out. Vespasian's running in with a few more of his Reapers, and they could actually do a fair bit of damage in the main. There's very little defending it there. One more Spinecrawler. But right now, Kommatiazo's moving around with his Lings, moving around with his Mutalisks, and Kommatiazo is going to have to be a bit careful. Firstly, there's these Hellions which can drive away his zones really nicely. But he gets a big surround. Not quite. Doesn't quite get surrounded on them. But Vespasian lifts up all his Marines just as the Mutalisks fly in, but not enough Mutalisks to really do too much damage. And oh my God, Kommatiazo just misses all the Reapers coming back. Really, really close there. But the Mutalisks fly in. You're going to try and get into the middle line, focus down a couple of SCVs, but as I said, those Marines are there. The Mutalisks can outmaneuver them very, very easily, but they're still a threat to the Mutalisks. They can't win a head-up fight, but there's no way the Marine's going to catch them, not without Stim. And there's no sign of Stim coming out for Vespasian for a little while. I don't believe there's even a tech lab on the map, let alone with the barracks. But there's some SCVs coming here, and I'm not sure they're transferring to a base, so Vespasian is pushing across the map, and these Mutalisks, do they see it? It's just quite a bit out of their vision range, actually. But Kommatiazo needs to sort of force Vespasian to come back, and he can do that by just harassing at home. If Vespasian starts trying to turn this sort of into a base trade, Kommatiazo, if Kommatiazo had done that with his Mutalisks, as soon as Vespasian moved out, he would have been in a pretty good situation, because he could have done quite a lot of damage to Vespasian at home and then come back and defended with the Mutalisks. But right now, Kommatiazo has a lot of Banelings. He just needs to get good connections with them, which is going to be the problem. The Banelings actually all get cancelled just a couple seconds away from completion. And these Marines are the real problem here, because Kommatiazo has quite a lot of Mutalisks. He's going to start fighting the Marines with Mutalisks, but Medevacs really, really help out against Mutalisks, and Mutalisks aren't that good against Marines to begin with, especially not they're sort of dancing around on top of Marines. But now the Banelings are finished, and Vespasian is pretty well grouped up. Some okay splits are going to keep these Marines alive for now, but a big Baneling hit doesn't... the second Baneling does connect. And now there's not too many Marines left, and Vespasian still has, Kommatiazo still has a lot of lanes and a fair few Mutalisks, so it looks like he will clean this up. Vespasian now done at 18 workers. GG. That was his last all-in push, and Kommatiazo did it expertly, so... I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope you'll enjoy this game even more. It's going to be taking place on Foxtrot Labs, of course, and it's going to be taking place between these two players, first of which is spawning down the bottom right-hand corner, and is representing Shobo Team 6. Playing in the orange, it is Vespasian. And I'm informed that orange is C Team 6's team color, I'm informed of this by a lot of orange-colored people in the chat. But either way, teal may well be Outset Gaming color, because that is the color of our Zerg player in the top left. And of course, representing Outset Gaming, it is Kommatiazo. And so far, Vespasian hasn't proxied any of his buildings, so this is a potential start to a macro game, but I don't think so. Knowing Vespasian, we expect some kind of shenanigans, but as I said at the start of the cast, cheesiest thing a cheesy player can do is play macro. So I'd really like to see Vespasian mix in like at least one really hard macro game, like a 3cc opener, or CC first, or like CC rack CC, or something really, really macro like that, just to completely throw Kommatiazo off his guard and catch him by surprise. But for now, he's actually just going to be proxying a factory. And choose a slightly interesting location for it. This is obviously a lot further away than it is possible to proxy a factory, but he's doing this to hide it a little bit. And this overlord that's just moving out of Kommatiazo's base right now, if he proxied it in the closest location, this overlord would spot it. So Vespasian, he's obviously a man who knows his proxy factories. He's a proxy factory connoisseur, and is going to proxy it in the closest location he can, which he doesn't think will be scouted, which is really what you look for in a proxy. So really well chosen by him. The only issue that I'm going to foresee is him being able to find somewhere to land it without... Okay, never mind. He's not going to actually lift it and land it. He's just going to start producing Widow Mines from here. And a starport as well. Okay, so it's just proxy Widow Mine drops. That's how he's going to get into the base. And yeah, this is going to hit a little earlier than Kommatiazo is likely expecting it. So yeah, a little bit of mind games coming out of Vespasian. But Kommatiazo has scouted Vespasian's main base a little bit. And he's seen that there's double gas, but he hasn't really seen anything the gas is being spent on. Of course, he hasn't actually looked behind the mineral line. So it's possible... I would be assuming if I was in Kommatiazo's position, there's something behind that mineral line, and it's whatever Vespasian is taking up to, whatever he doesn't want me to say. But I mean, that's a little bit of an odd place for Terrans to put their production, put their tech not so much, but their production, because obviously it just increases the rush distance just that little bit more. They don't really want to be having tech production at the front of the base, at the back of the base. They want to be having it at the front near the ramp. And a couple of Marines actually get cleaned up by some Lings here, which wins Kommatiazo a little bit of map control. Kommatiazo is going to try and come in with another Overlord and reconfirm his scout, see what he can get done, but he's soon going to find out what he's up against, because this medevac is unloading completely unseen, and so two Widow Mines walk out of the darkness towards Kommatiazo's mineral line. And how good is his attention? It looks like one of the Widow Mines is going to get they're going to get okay hits. One of them actually got 6 kills, but I think several of them were Lings. So 4 drones down in total and 7 Lings, but not quite 7 Lings. There were some Lings that were dead before, but the Menowak's going to come back in for a hot pickup on these Widow Mines, and I think he's going to get one of them, but this one is going to be a challenge, the one on 7 health. So yeah, he actually doesn't even unburrow it. Good choice. He's just going to let it... I mean, he doesn't get the second shot off, but either way, he doesn't waste any of his precious medevac health for a Widow Mine that was never going to survive anyway. Kommatiazo has a couple of Zerglings moving around, and this is the typical proxy factory location, but this Vespasian has obviously put it a little further away. But this siege tank is gonna... it's not gonna get taken out by the Zerglings, but it is gonna have to be repaired up by this SCV. Whoa! Or indeed, hot pickups by that medevac. And a nice landing on the high ground as well, so we can hop between the high ground and the low ground. And yeah, now we see, I guess, some tank drops are going to come out of Vespasian. Or is he just going to push here? Of course, this is actually pretty much the 1-1-1 build he went for in the first game, but 2 of the ones are proxied. So this is going to make it hit just that little bit faster. And here is another one of these little features which, you know, causes Foxtrot Labs to favour aggression. These siege tank spots that can fire on the Vesping geysers, can fire on these Lings that are trying to get underneath the medevac and stop it unloading. Of course, it doesn't have anything in it, but Kommatiazo doesn't know that. Moving a little further away from that spore crawler, he does get out of the detection range. And now with the Marines coming in as well, you're going to be able to chase down this Overlord. You're going to be able to start pushing the spore crawlers back as well. And yeah, Kommatiazo's looking in a little bit of a bad situation here. A lot of Lings, big swell of Lings is coming in for him, but even then, there's a lot of Marines here. The medevac's going to heal them up, which will help a lot. And there's not that many Banelings, only 2, I believe. So they're going to have to get perfect hits. And actually, I think they might. One of them gets a pretty good hit and softens up a lot of the Marines, but that's not quite enough. The Marines need to be dead, not soft. And Kommatiazo is left with very little army to actually attempt to hold off Vespasian. Vespasian with 36 army supply to Kommatiazo's 9, and Vespasian is buffering that up with some SCVs which come to reinforce. Vespasian actually firing around the eggs, not the most efficient use for his DPS, but these the Banshee does go down, but the sacrifice of one of the Queens, and these SCVs are going to be healing up the second Banshee so it can do its damage. And do its damage it will. Vespasian moves up a siege tank as well. That's going to be able to fire down on the high ground location, take down that spine crawler before it finishes. And Kommatiazo has lost his natural base. He's lost a lot of his drones, 8 drones in total. And he's way behind Vespasian's count at the minute. The Banelings are going to get taken out before they actually morph up, as that Banshee fires them down. And now there's 2 Banelings left. And there shouldn't be any way they can actually approach Vespasian's Marines. If even one of them does, though, they will get a solid connection with a lot of these Marines in the red, or even some of them that are in the yellow will actually get killed by the Baneling. But the siege tank shouldn't ever let that happen. Neither of them fractured the Marines. Theoretically, they should be focusing down the Banshee as it comes, and they should be focusing down the Baneling as it comes, and the Banshee definitely should be. That's one of the things he's best at, is just running forwards and picking up the Baneling. But now Kommatiazo is making his stand. The drones are coming off the line, and the Banelings, they do get focused down by the tank. Great play by Vespasian, and now there's nothing else for Kommatiazo. And Vespasian, aiming in the top right-hand corner. Kommatiazo. And of course, we have notorious Orange Terran as well, wearing his team colors. And that team, of course, is Turbo Team 6. Is in the bottom right, Vespasian. And he certainly has his fair share of supporters in the chat, all proudly wearing their orange, or some of them not wearing their orange and being a point of contention. Oh my god, Kommatiazo. This is exactly what I was wanting him to do. I was saying he needs to take charge and set the pace of the game, and a proxy hatchery right there in plain view is certainly going to do it. Now, what Kommatiazo really wants here is for Vespasian to pull a bunch of SCVs, overreact to this, panic about it, and start and lose mining time, and then Kommatiazo can cancel the hatchery and be up on mining or be up on money. But the other possibility is that Vespasian underreacts to it and allows Kommatiazo to get out some lings in the base, to get out maybe even a spine crawler or a queen. But I think Kommatiazo is set up pretty well to deal with this. Another couple of Marines are going to leave this hatchery on so low health that it's not really going to be able to do that much against until it dies. So I really hope Kommatiazo does cancel this, because he's going to need to. It's going to die before it actually completes. And he does get the cancel off. Twice for the spine crawler, that's just not going to happen. Doesn't get the cancel on that. But yeah, I think that actually went out pretty well for Vespasian. He did invest in a bunker, but got the cancel back on that. And I kind of would have liked Kommatiazo, if he was going to go for something a little bit crazy like that, to try and hide it a little bit up in the top corner where Vespasian is sending his Marines now. But actually, Kommatiazo building his hatchery, rebuilding the hatchery in his main base, that definitely looks like some aggression to me. It looks like it's going to be used for a macro hatch for some big ling floods. So I'm excited to see what happens. But at the same time, I'm a little bit worried for Kommatiazo, because Vespasian is going for a very early Hellbat timing. And if there's one thing Hellbats are good on, it's lings. And I mean, Kommatiazo is severely leaning towards being on some kind of massling strategy. If you mix in his Baneling Nest quickly enough, he should be okay against this, actually, because the Hellbats can get held in position briefly whilst roasting through the lings pretty well for the Banelings to actually burst through. But Kommatiazo really needs to have been throwing down his Baneling Nest a little while ago, and now that he sees some of Vespasian's forces moving out with the Overlord, the spine crawler is going to go down, but he's honestly going to need more than that. The Baneling Nest has started, and he really, really needs to do something to hold Vespasian off until he can get those Banelings up, until he can actually burst down the Hellbats. And Vespasian moves in. He's going to take a little bit more damage than I would have expected on his Hellions before he moves back. They morph up, Mighty Morphin Hellbat Rangers, and of course they're biological and mechanical, so they can still be repaired by those SCVs. And Vespasian moves in with the Hellbats. They do a lot of damage. They're like a shorter range roach, really, and that spine crawler is not going to be long for this world. Kommatiazo, in fact, abandoning his natural entirely, moving up, trying to get some spine crawlers down there. The Baneling Nest is finished, and Kommatiazo needs to morph in those Banelings, but I mean, the Vespasian can just get right on top of them and stop them from ever seeing completion. And now Kommatiazo really has very little going for him. He's got quite a lot of queens, but the Marines are going to be pretty good on that. The Hellbats aren't going to take that much damage from the queens just because the SCVs can repair them so heavily. And again, Kommatiazo is not afraid to pull workers, which is great quality, but Hellbats are not afraid to roast workers all day. And now Kommatiazo is down to 3 drones, and he just doesn't have anything that can combat this. This is going to be another GG. Around for what could be our final map of the night. And the man hoping it is at Orange Terran, 6 o'clock spawn, 1 game away from the finals. Representing Chobo Team 6, Vespasian. And his opponent, can he pull it back? Representing Outset Gaming and spawning in teal, Kommatiazo. He's going to have a pretty difficult road ahead of him if he does want to. He's going to have to win 3 in a row if he actually wants to come back from this and make it to the finals. And Kommatiazo has no intention of letting his opponent do that. Once again, we see a factory proxy, but actually the Reaper goes down immediately for Vespasian. Somewhat uncharacteristic slip up from Micro over there. I think he was just paying attention to something else at the time. But he is actually going to send the Marine across the map. I think he just wants to get a bit more scouting information since the Reaper was denied so effortlessly, really. Kommatiazo and... oh, maybe just hunting Overlords, but this shouldn't be a problem for Kommatiazo. It should really be a free Marine because he does have Lings out on the map. The Lings can chase down this Marine pretty easily, and they do. But yeah, Vespasian, we see the proxy starport as well, so it looks very much like what we saw on Foxtrot, and he pulled that build off to great success. Will Vespasian identify it this time? He's got Lings going across the map, and the Lings are going to sort of arrive at Vespasian's base and see that there's actually no Marines there. There's no tech visible, and this might sort of tip Kommatiazo off to something a bit funky happening, because normally when you arrive at Terran's base, you expect them to have a little bit more than 2 Marines just popping out at 5 minutes. And Kommatiazo is going to have his Overlord drift in, and he should be able to get a decent scout off on the main base, especially with now he's sending it in towards the middle part. There'll be almost no bits of the base he won't be able to scout and reasonably rule out any other buildings. And obviously he'll see this. He'll see there's 1 barracks and nothing else in Vespasian's main and think, this is odd. I'm sure you should have more than this. Where are you spending your money? And again, he's going to find out pretty soon. This medevac is boosting in. It's going to land up here, once again undetected. And the Widowmines are going to waddle their way into mineral line. But again, good reactions here from Kommatiazo. And one of the Widowmines go off without much fanfare. The medevac should be able to lift him up and pick him up when ready. Oh my god, it's a fusion core. He's been listening to the chat. Here we have it, proxy battle cruisers. Man, I should have been paying more attention to the upgrade that was going to the tech lab that was going down that starport. But either way, the Widowmines, I think, are just about to get another shot off in the main base. So there's one. That's a solid shot, and the other one does manage to hit the drone before it gets into the extractor. So quite a few drones have been killed now. 7 in total by those Widowmines. They have gone down, but this has slowed down Kommatiazo quite admirably. The only problem will be if Kommatiazo can actually get on top of this production and kill the battlecruiser before it comes out, or kill the starport before the battlecruiser comes out, Vespasian will be in a bit of trouble. Certainly Kommatiazo knows what's going on now. He sees a proxied fusion core and thinks, what on earth is going on here? He's going to focus down this starport. It's almost certainly going to die before that battlecruiser actually makes it onto the field. And this has really put a spanner in the works for Vespasian. His build sort of relied on getting this battlecruiser out, and it's not going to come out. He does cancel it and lift it off. So now Vespasian is left in a position where he's got a lot of floating money on things that he can't really spend. He's throwing down 2 starports in his main base and he's going to try and produce battlecruisers from them. But right now, instead of having 2 to 4 Hellions and a battlecruiser with this push, he's just got the Marines. However, Kommatiazo still doesn't have any Banelings. He wasn't really anticipating another push, but a really, really strong surround will take out all of these Marines. Who said Lings aren't any good on Marines? Probably me. And oh my god, the medevac just about gets away from those queens. And yeah, it's Kommatiazo. This is the most easy hold he's had so far this series of any of Vespasian's shenanigans, and Vespasian does have to move back home. His factory has to lift off again, and 3 tech labs are going down. There's going to be 3. Is this going to be 3 Port Banshee? It could be. The maths works out. And I was actually, there's 1 Banshee, 2 Banshees, and doesn't have enough. 3 Banshees. I'm kind of worried for Kommatiazo. I was actually talking about what happens when I off-race Terran in the lobby for the first game, and I did mention the 3 Port Banshee, so I may have given Vespasian some ideas here, or maybe I'm giving myself too much credit, and Vespasian is the master of the 3 Port Banshee. But either way, it's certainly very difficult to deal with. The 3 Banshees will 3-shot queens, and makes it very, very difficult for Zerg to really do much about it. However, one of the starports will get taken out. I'm not sure I would have cancelled the Banshee there. I think I would have just let it finish and let the starport burn down, because there's no way that starport's getting out alive. Either way, down to 2 Port Banshee, but he can afford a cloak now. I still don't think it's that great. A hidden expansion as well. The only kind of expansion Vespasian takes, of course. And oh my god, Vespasian's getting eBays. Or an eBay. I hope this is just for turrets, because if he builds a upgrade, then I don't know. I'd feel slightly uncomfortable seeing Vespasian's units with upgrades. But either way, Kommatiazo is moving out here. There's quite a big force of Lings, but really very little in the way of splash damage to take out these Marines. The Marines are all balled up, should trade pretty well against the Zerglings, especially with all the Banshees raining down fire from above and the SCVs that are coming off the line to do a bit of tanking. However, now there are Banelings starting to morph in, and Vespasian is going to do a very, very good job of cancelling them, picking them off. And it can be so annoying. You're just trying to get some Banelings out to deal with Marines, but the Banshees just will not let you actually have any Banelings whatsoever. And Vespasian is preparing to move down. Slightly miscontrolled Banelings mean all 3 of them are going to get taken out. This Banshee's on quite low health though. Does activate Cloak. There is an Overseer, but 4 Banshees are going to kill things pretty fast. I'm pretty sure that 1-shot Queens, sorry, 2-shot Queens even, but I mean, transfuses make things a little trickier, but either way, they kill things very, very quickly. I think they can just fight all these queens without too much trouble, detection or no. And does lose 1 Banshee, but there's still 4 here. They can start focusing down the Banelings, and they are dying very, very fast. Lots of Spore Crawls going down for Kommatiazo because he desperately needs something a little bit more durable to fight the Banshees. All the queens are dead, and Kommatiazo actually hasn't even used his bio yet. But now he's not going to split it, and a lot of the Banelings get fantastic connections, which softens up so much of this. And Vespasian, the brunt of his push has been stopped, but he still does have those Banshees that are going to be doing so much work. Unfortunately, he's not paying full attention to them, and they do. 2 of them go down to a Spore Crawler, but I think Vespasian still has enough to take out this natural base. Incidentally, over in the top right-hand corner, Kommatiazo's Lings did find Vespasian's CC, and has been forced to lift his hidden base. Now Vespasian just doing a little bit of micro around, and still producing his Banshees, but that Spore Crawler is going to take out 1 of them. However, 2 more join the fray, but I mean, 2 of them fall to the Banshee, but 2 of them fall to the Spore Crawler. And every time Kommatiazo comes in with his Lings, Vespasian just lift up the bio and fire away at the Lings with the Banshee until it gets taken out. And these Banshees are absolutely the MVP. There are so many spores that have been forced out of Kommatiazo. He's actually down at the same SC or same work account as Vespasian, despite the fact that Vespasian's been pulling SCVs left, right, and center. And now I think with this undefended mineral line, all the spores have been relocated, and Vespasian could do a lot of damage. He's actually just going to focus down the hatchery, or the lair even. But he does have to avoid these Spore Crawls. Come on, stop taking fire from that one. I think he's going to lose a Banshee here, and the slightly off positioning means that when this Banshee goes down, this is really the end of Vespasian's push. It is going to... No, it will get taken out, finally. Part sailing off into the void there. And yeah, there's not much else going for Vespasian here. The army supplies and the supplies in general are relatively even. They really don't tell the whole story. Kommatiazo has still got a natural base fairly well secured, and although he doesn't really have an answer to the Banshees, when the Lings bust in here, I mean, the Banshees are going to kill things fairly quickly, but I don't know if it'll be quickly enough to actually stop Vespasian from just losing all his SCVs. And he's desperately trying to make additional walls, but not quickly enough. And all the Link Streammen are going to take out all of the Marines. A few of them are actually going to run off and into the middle line, start focusing down those SCVs. More and more Links pouring into the base. Kommatiazo actually isn't producing anything right now, just focusing on what's happening in Vespasian's base. And Vespasian's SCV count is falling rapidly. Down 12. I'm just wondering, where are all his SCVs? Oh, he actually lifted a lot of them up into a medevac to keep them safe. So, really smart play there. But Kommatiazo, having gone back to droning, just finished up a round, and he's back up at 28. So, Vespasian, he loves these crazy situations. This is what StarCraft is all about. Ad-libbing your build. There's no build orders here. This is pure intuitive. What is my opponent doing? I have absolutely no idea. You can't practice for situations like this. But Vespasian, every game he does is practicing for situations like this because he causes these kind of weird things to happen. And the 5 Banshee hit squad can roam around, can pick off queens very, very quickly, can pick off any kind of buildings very quickly. There's a spire that Kommatiazo is trying to make, but I don't know whether it'll actually see itself to completion. And where those 5 Banshees, Medevac does survive, but yeah, Vespasian is just trying to get rid of the Spore Crawlers because they're the main threat to his Banshees right now. In fact, they're really the only threat. The Queens, I mean, they don't do enough DPS to actually have the Banshees really threaten the Banshees. Eventually, they'll grind them down, but the Banshees will trade so cost efficiently against them. And I'd really like to see. I mean, Vespasian doesn't know this, but if he came around the back, there's an angle he can fire on this lair and take it out. And actually, he might figure this out with that scan. But first, he's just gonna sit over this this transfer route and stop things from happening there. But now the Queen's coming in. A lot of Banshees still threatens quite a high quantity of Queens. And Vespasian, he's pulled his SCVs again. These are all of his SCVs. There's one back at home mining gas on Sultry SCV, and this is going to be Vespasian's last push, his last hope at losing the Banshee. His last hope at, in fact, not his last hope in this game. And of course, if he makes it, he goes through to the finals, and Kommatiazo falls by the wayside. And Kommatiazo does not want to let that happen. He's moving down. His Bane's crashing through the SCV tanking and getting some solid connections with the Marines. But there's still so many Banshees left in the sky. 8 Banshees out right now for Vespasian, and the couple Marines left over as well. Those SCVs just slowly whittling away on the Spore Crawlers. But Vespasian has to make something happen. He's on a real time clock. The Mutalisks are out now, and being an enormous threat to the Banshees, so he's going to try and focus down this hatchery. If he can get both the hatcheries and leave Kommatiazo without the minerals for another one, but he knows he just really has no answer to those Mutalisks. And GG after a crazy game. Number 6. And still on match point is our orange Terran up in the top left-hand corner of Nimbus from Chobo Team 6, Vespasian. And of course, if he can win this match, he takes it to the ace match. It is Teal Zerg down the bottom left. Outset Gaming, Kommatiazo. And I think these are the spawns that Vespasian was sort of hoping for, really. He's got a very, very direct drop path by air into Kommatiazo's natural base. And he's got a reasonably fast path towards the ramp into the main as well. So there's lots of different things he can do. If he did want to go for a proxy, there's a couple of different locations for it as well. He can do it sort of above the natural, threatening the natural, or over the, I guess, one of the 4th bases where an Overlord is situated right now. But actually, he's not even going to let it get that far. And just having built up a couple of Marines, 3 Raxes went down, and Oh my god, I don't think Kommatiazo is going to see this at all. Now he sees it with this Overlord, but he needs to react really fast. Those Lings need to come back home. And I think also, actually it would probably be better if they just started picking off the reinforcements, because there's no way he's going to fight this with the Lings he's got right there. And I don't know, maybe if he can get a sandwich, and he's going to go for it, moving down the ramp at the same time as the Lings come back in from behind. And he's just bypassing the SCVs entirely. But the kiting from Vespasian is just too good, and one Marine goes down and one SCV, and that's it. A bunch of bunkers are being built up here. Kommatiazo, to his credit, is trying to focus down the SCVs to stop the bunkers. Once these bunkers go up, that's the real backbone of this push, and the Queen micro is good. If he can save up a bit more energy on one of these Queens, he'll be able to get off a transfuse on the other one. Where is it? And the Queen with the transfuse energy dies as well. That's a huge shame, because the other Queen is just with enough energy to transfuse on itself. And the drone's coming off the line now. But Vespasian doesn't actually have to do that much damage to even up the drone count, and he's already done more than enough. Kommatiazo down to 3 drones now. The Spine Crawler has taken a lot of damage, but a transfuse does go down there. Vespasian thinks he's won. He's dancing his Marines, and he's going to start pushing down that Spine Crawler, focusing down the Queen as well. But Spine Crawler's up. It gets 2 pokes off, kills off Marine, and that is it. Some more SCVs coming in to help Vespasian out, building a couple more bunkers, and I think Vespasian might just have done it. There's 2 more Queens, but to be honest, even if Kommatiazo holds this off at this stage, he's on 2 drones. There's so little he can do to come back from that. Vespasian still has 11 SCVs back at home. Maths on stream, never do it. And he's looking pretty good on this. And the last Queen is about to fall if Vespasian just focuses it down. And it looks like he's decided to. He's chasing it down. But he actually doesn't even need to. He can focus down anything he wants to do at this stage. There's so many Marines out on the map. The final Queen falls. There's 0 army supply, 0 worker supply, 0 supply for Kommatiazo. He has nothing left. The only way he could win is if these broodlings that come out of his buildings would somehow kill Vespasian, but they cannot. Vespasian takes it. He is